Hey everyone, this is DJ.
And this is Ish.
And this is Season 5 of Pero Let Me Tell You. I got that from my mother.
That repeated.
Yeah, you know my record is 27 times. I'm sure you were nearby when it happened.
I remember you telling me the record if I wasn't
but you've
there.
been there. You've been there for quite many.
Oh, at least 10.
10.
I'm saying minimum.
I just think I did 15. Well, everybody, the way you sneeze.
On that note,
welcome to episode 195.
5. Yes, you are correct.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm on
You
the
got
money.
it. You got it.
195 of Pero Let Me Tell You. How is everyone?
I think everyone is doing good. Maybe some of our listeners are a little hungover.
Yes.
Because yesterday was St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patrick's Day. And as we're recording on Fake Friday,
I am having my scotch, my whiskey.
Yes.
So
I'm having Avion.
yeah. So
But
you're
all is good in the world. I'm having a French spring water.
I was going to say you're being very au français.
And welcome everybody. Welcome.
Yep.
So you know that yo no soy come mierda, right? I'm not.
You're many things, but that's not one of them.
I'm not bougie.
Right.
And there's been many times in my life that I could be like super bougie, and I'm not.
Generally, you're not.
Right. I am very bougie about water.
Really?
Yes, Avion. And if they don't have Avion Fiji, I will not drink Dasani. We're not getting a Dasani sponsorship.
Nor do I want it.
Or Aquafina.
I'll take Aquafina before I'll take Dasani.
Nope. Dasani.
Dasani to me gives me the sensation of drinking baba.
I would have to be in like the desert, just like dying.
Right, like que no haya...
Okay, past the Dasani, I give up. But I'm very bougie about water. It has to be
is
Avion.
it about Dasani? It's just not good.
What the thing about a lot of these bottled waters? We're talking about bottled water.
Yes,
But let me tell you. Hey, you wanted a full spectrum of topics.
Listen, we've got all of it for you.
The thing about a lot of bottled water is that a lot of it has actually it has electrolytes and they add minerals to it for nutritional value, and that changes the taste. Also, Dasani is purified water. So it was once upon a time it was tap water or discarded water that has been purified, and I don't get grossed out by that at all.
No, whatever. It is whatever.
It is. But it's purified, so it's not like Avion or even Zephyr Hills that is natural spring water. Right?
So that's why it tastes different.
Right, because Zephyr Hills is literally the water of the spring.
Yeah, well, there is Zephyr Hills, Florida.
Right.
Yeah.
And it tastes different. To me, I say this, and it's like really weird, but to me, Avion water is like a little creamy. It's like...
Creamy?
Yes, it's smoother. It feels like creamier. I can't explain it.
You have just talked about water the way that some people talk about whiskey.
Or wine.
Yes, exactly.
I taste the citric notes.
I can taste the stems from France.
Yes,
from France.
Oui, c'est la vérité. But yeah, j'aime le viande. C'est le haut que je préférais.
Oui.
But yeah, I'm really bougie about water. Like, I have actually gone to places that all they have is like crappy water. I'm like, nope. I'll go on to the next place.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah. Yeah, like, nope. That is the one thing I'm bougie on.
I don't even give a shot.
Okay, I take it back. Look, I also have this. I have a couple of bottled waters here.
Yes.
I have this.
Esto aquí parece like we're filming Signs Part 2.
Icelandic spring water. Like, if they don't have any of the brands that I want, I'll have whatever other brand that's spring water.
Okay, so spring water.
I won't have purified or distilled water. Nope.
Okay, got it.
Again, unless I'm just like...
No hay remedio. Right. It's between that and death.
But no. And what really bothers me is like sometimes when you go to like certain restaurants or like certain places that it's like you want to get a bottle of water. It's like, no, they have Dasani. And it's like, oh, really?
I don't think I've ever been to a restaurant that has like a bottle of Dasani.
No, because sometimes like in a combo or something.
Okay. I see what you're saying. I thought you were talking like a restaurant. Like
right? No.
Oh, okay.
No, I'd rather drink tap. I don't know
tap water. I don't have a problem with tap water at all.
I don't have a problem drinking tap water.
Give me Miami's finest.
And Miami tap water is actually very good.
It's better than Orlando.
Oh my gosh!
Es que Orlando es agua de pozo. Es agua de pozo.
Is gross even just to like take a shower. Like
agua
when
de
you're
pozo.
showering,
It's
se
not.
te mete en la boca the tap
It's
water.
hard water.
Yeah, whereas Evian is
It's
soft water.
Yeah, and creamy.
And
Per
creamy
you.
water.
Per you. It's
Natural,
creamy.
made by the French Alps. I mean, it doesn't get more bougie than that.
Who doesn't love the French Alps?
I mean, can you just see yourself like in the French Alps with a like skiing in a ski resort with like those Christian Dior ski boots,
or Gucci.
right? Having Evian, like
I could see it.
with that said,
As it like splashes
that
with
said,
back and forth.
Do you know when it's the first time I ever heard of Evian?
Madonna?
Yep, truth or dare.
We will not be doing what she did with the Evian bottle.
No, we don't. This is a family-rated
This
show.
is a family-ish show.
But that's the first time
That makes sense.
Madonna
Madonna had oral pleasures with the
an
Evian bottle.
I'm like, what's an Evian bottle? Now, with that said, we were what, like 10, 11 years old?
Right.
So, forgive us for our ignorance.
We learned a lot from Evian.
We did. So, okay.
Speaking of learning a lot, thank you to everybody who came out for trivia.
Oh, yes.
Just
we
really
had
quick.
a great turnout.
Yes. It seems to be getting bigger
Bigger
every
and bigger.
month. Yeah.
Yes. And as we say when we do trivia, we're trying to make trivia happen in Miami, people.
Yes.
For some reason, I mean, I think I know why, but trivia is not really
It's not a thing
here.
Yeah.
Maybe in college circles.
Like if we were closer to UM, maybe. But
Right. Doesn't Titanic do trivia?
They might.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
But we're trying to make trivia happen, and thankfully, trivia has been happening, and we're getting like regular teams now.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like we're growing because there's people who are showing up now every month. They're
Showing up every month, and they're bringing their friends,
Right,
and they're
right,
bringing
right.
their siblings,
Right.
and all that stuff, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And speaking of growth, just want to remind you guys because I forgot last week. So as we have said, we are also we're having our interview episodes every other Wednesday, I believe. And so this past Wednesday, we had our episode with Wilson Cruz, who was absolutely fantastic. 2 weeks ago, we had it with the poster artist of Carnaval Miami, Laura Chirino. And before that, we had from Grand Cru, Gracie Mercedes. So we've got some more interviews coming up. Just for those of you who haven't had a chance to listen yet, by all means, check them out. They're called Pero Hangueando with, and then, the person we're interviewing. So, give it a shot, listen to them. It's a way for us to have our cake and eat it too.
Right.
Have those interviews, but also we know y'all love to hear us just shoot the shit for an hour and change.
Right.
So this way, we strive to give people cake. That's what it comes down to.
I mean, who doesn't want cake?
I never understood that saying. Have your cake and eat it too. Like, just eat it. Why wouldn't you eat it if you have it?
I know, right?
It's just stupid.
Well,
Even Marie Antoinette was okay with it.
Right. I've always, like, a lot of times I remember when I was smaller and I used to hear that. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I don't know it because I'm Cuban. And, I didn't grow up with the saying.
No, that has nothing to do with it.
I grew up with saying, dime con
quién andas y te diré quién eres.
Or my personal favorite, la mierda busca culo. Like that one. That my mom says. But
Should that be a t-shirt?
can you imagine? Like, you have a little turd, like, Heidi.
Actually, it's very easy to do. You could be la, then use the poop emoji.
Right.
Busca el, and do a peach.
The peach. Did we just come up with our next
We
t-shirt?
just did
I feel we come up with all of our t-shirts
on air. Yeah, I think we just did.
La poop emoji, busca el peach emoji.
Keep an eye out, kids.
I like that. So, actually, not even a topic, but just something I wanted to bring up that reminded me of you today. So much so that I even did a voice note of it to remind myself to bring it up. Because when you mentioned this, you were so on the money on how I feel and like a lot of people feel. So on the way home today from work, there was this van that was a van, I guess, where they do paella. They come to us and do paella. And it said really big, like, apúrate que viene la paella. Oh! And I thought about you because you were... What you always say of whenever there's a party and there's a paella.
No llegues tarde.
But
It's
so
que va a
true
haber
when you
paella.
said that. Because, like, for example, I've never professed my love for paella. It's
Right,
not like
right.
I go around saying, like, paella is my favorite thing to eat, right? Like, I love me some paella.
Right.
But it's so true because, like, I can think of, like, 2 years ago that my parents went to somebody's house that it was, like, somebody's birthday. My father's like, pero tú no vas a venir, va a haber paella.
It's like I can have paella anywhere, kids. Like, there's a Spanish restaurant in the Gables. I can order paella to go. To go. Actually, there's 2 Spanish restaurants in the Gables.
Bring you paella.
I can every day if I wanted.
You could look up Joan Crawford
and find out how to make her paella with. Yes.
Okay, people, if
You
you,
need to look that
want
up.
to laugh, this is for people who enjoy camp and really
Which I like to think is our listenership.
listeners. If you really want to laugh, look up just
Literally
Google
just YouTube.
Joan Crawford visits supermarket or
or makes
Joan
paella.
Crawford makes paella. It was when she was head of Coca-Cola, right? Pepsi.
Sí, ella era una señora.
No, right, but
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was when she was with Pepsi, right?
Yes.
Because I think it was like a Pepsi sponsored.
Because it was part of a Pepsi initiative done in conjunction with
Why we know this so much about this is incredible. But
in conjunction with supermarkets, because it was part of Pepsi being in supermarkets. They worked with their partners and things like that.
so it's this video of Joan Crawford and this little girl, because we know how much Joan loved them children.
There's one thing we know.
And they're in the supermarket and they're getting all these ingredients because Joan is having a dinner party and she's making
A paella.
a Spanish paella.
As Joan Crawford
As
does.
Joan Crawford does. And I think it's just so funny and so random, right? That it was paella. It wasn't anything else.
It's not like she's making like a roast lamb.
Right. And then I started thinking, because this is from like the late 50s, early 60s,
Late
maybe?
60s, let's say.
Right, or like the 60s.
Yeah.
Was paella like big in the 60s?
I
here in
can't
the US?
imagine.
Was there like a Spanish?
No, the 60s
España
was
invasion?
the 60s was when people were putting everything in gelatin.
No, that is true.
They weren't making paella.
Yeah.
They were putting shit in jello. I don't know why, but they were. And it was always green jello.
Yeah. Do you know that there's this Instagram channel of it's called the Retro Chef of this lady who like her kitchen looks like a 50s kitchen.
Oh, cute.
She's dressed up.
Like very 1950s.
Like 50s with like the hair and all that and like the floral dresses. And she does the recipes from the 50s.
Oh, she finds like vintage cookbooks.
Yes, and they're so disgusting.
gross.
she has them and she's like, this is, but she does it like, again, it's very camp. She does it very like, and today we're gonna make a tuna melt in gelatin.
Like she understood the assignment.
Yes, she
Yeah,
did.
okay.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah.
And she's like very like chipper about it. And then when she tastes it, she's like, oh my God.
This is awful.
It tastes like dirty ass. Like, and not in the good way. Like, or like there's one that she makes. There's one that she makes that has like mushrooms, or no, it has like green beans. And she's like, oh my God, the green beans taste like, like aluminum sulfate, like some shit like that. And it's like disgusting, it's like mustard on like gelatin.
It's never good. I don't know what happened in the 60s. Was it because of the fear of nuclear war?
I don't know.
People were like, fuck it, let's just eat everything.
I don't know. Actually, you know what? Speaking of retro food, a show that I'm actually really...
I'm glad you didn't say, speaking of nuclear war.
I know. Especially now with what's going
I know,
on
that's
with
why I'm
Russia.
saying. I didn't know which way that sentence was going to end.
A show that I'm really excited about with Adam Richman, and I love
is
me
this the
some
Julia
Adam
Child
Richman.
on...
No, Adam Richman. You know who Adam Richman is, right? Man vs. Food.
The name sounds from... Yes, okay.
Yeah, Man vs. Food.
Yeah.
I love Adam Richman. Like, I love him. He is doing a show called Eating Through the 80s. And it's a book. It's a show on retro, like, 80s food.
So lots of
So
sweet
they're
and
doing,
sour.
like, Sloppy Joes and all that. Because he's, like, our age. He's, like, in his late 30s.
Right,
like,
right,
maybe
right.
40s. So I'm, like, really excited about that. Because he does, like, a lot of stuff that when he was the other day on the Today Show promoting it, I'm like, oh shit, I forgot about that. Like this Cheese Whiz, everything had Cheese Whiz.
Everything did
in
have
the
Cheese
80s.
Whiz. That's right.
Yeah, and then he presents.
Unless you were at Gwyneth Paltrow's house.
Why?
Didn't you hear what she said? She said she'd rather do crack than have processed cheese.
Oh well, she's the creator of Goop. I mean,
But then again, our nether regions aren't the scent of a candle.
doesn't she have like some type of vaginal something that's like a ball?
An egg.
An
An
egg.
egg that's supposed to strengthen your vaginal muscles, but all of the gynecologists were like, don't do it. It's
Right.
not safe.
Right. Have we ever thought why she named it Goop?
No, because if we thought about it, then we'd have to get an explanation from Gwyneth Paltrow, and I don't want to hear a Gwyneth Paltrow explanation.
Do we like Gwyneth Paltrow? Here's the thing.
I vacillate. I vacillate.
Here's my thing with Gwyneth Paltrow. I know a lot of people don't like her, and I get it. But when I've seen her in interviews, I don't dislike her in interviews.
Right. That's what I mean by vacillate, because
She comes across fine.
she's like okay, yeah, but then
then I get.
But
why
then she's not.
Some people don't like her. Like I
Right.
get it.
Right.
I'm not one of them, but I get it because I'm like, okay, I could see how that's like annoying.
you know, like conscious uncoupling.
Right.
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 Those are things where it's like
Your kid Apple.
right? Yeah.
It's like,
Although she seems normal naming her child Apple after Grimes and Elon Musk.
what did they name their latest
It's like
kid?
45. I don't. Well, yeah, they had a child that nobody even knew who existed. I forgot what the name of the kid is, but yeah, it's another one of those like 17 letters, but it's pronounced
Inspector
Bob.
Pilot sound normal.
Exactly. Yes, it
What's
is.
his?
That's
Earl. My name is Earl.
My name is
the
Earl.
guy.
Jason Lee.
Right. He named his son Inspector Pilot.
Inspector
I think
Pilot.
of Inspector Gadget.
That's
Is that what you were supposed to think of?
Well, if we're supposed to or not, that's what you're thinking of.
Inspector. You know, I was never into Inspector Gadget.
No. Oh, I used to watch it every morning before school when I was having breakfast.
Listen, you can be into everything.
That's true.
There was a lot to choose from when we were kids, right?
That's true. Not like now. Yeah,
There was a lot to choose from, and then there was still like the retro cartoons.
But there was a lot to choose from, even though it was limited. Because
Well,
you
yes.
had like 2 channels.
We had like 3 or 4 channels,
Right.
But there was a lot. You know,
Yeah.
You can't be into everything.
It's true.
Yeah, Inspector Gadget. You know, Penny and her book were okay, but
You know who voiced Penny, right?
I should know this. Tina Yothers.
No.
No, but Tina Yothers voiced someone. Tiffany.
No.
Tempest Bloodstone.
No, but that's the closest you've gotten to a guess.
So is it somebody from the Cosby Show?
The Cosby Show universe.
Okay, so it's a different world.
Yes.
Cree Summer.
Yep.
Wow. And the fact that from the different world, I was like, Cree Summer. I knew it wasn't Whitley.
No, it was not Jasmine Guy.
It was not Jasmine Guy.
No. Because Penny wasn't like, it's Uncle Gadget. No.
But wait, isn't Inspector Gadget from like the 70s?
No, from the 80s. But she's been doing voiceover like forever.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I'm surprised they haven't tried to retool that show.
They have.
A Different World?
Oh, I thought you meant Inspector Gadget.
No. The Matthew Broderick one?
No, but they did like a CGI
It's okay.
series.
I'll pass it.
Yeah,
I'll pass.
yeah.
A Different World. I'm surprised they haven't tried to retool it. Because I think that show is like super groundbreaking.
And now more so. Like if you were to
That
if you
show
reboot
is
it
still
today,
relevant, but
Right.
you could still have a similar format with just like today's issue.
you can take it a little further.
Because like for example, you could have like a lot of it could be centered around like Black Lives Matter and like other.
Well, I mean, it was
social
at
issues.
a HBC,
Yeah.
historically
Yeah.
black college. So right off the bat,
Yeah, I know, man.
it's perfect.
Maybe they haven't done it because of the Cosby connection.
Probably
Although I feel that show, when that show took off
after season 2.
after season 2, that Lisa Bonet left, man, we are like boom, 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 boom. Like, okay, we need to like
We're gonna ring this in. I promise.
wait. Where do we went off this tangent with what? What were we talking about? La paella.
La Paella. Wow,
La Paella.
from Paella to Lisa Bonet.
To Lisa Bonet in Summer in A Different World. It's A Different World. The original, the first season, also launched the career of Marissa Tomei. Academy Award winner.
Yes,
Marissa Tomei.
Marissa Tomei.
Wow. This is a useless knowledge that we sit around having.
You know, this is what they tune in for.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna pretend it's not.
That's like yesterday when we were at trivia and I had to come up with a bonus question.
Yes, and you pulled 2 of them out of your ass.
I pulled like 3 out of my ass. Oh, yeah. But again, hats off to
we had some great teams.
So we have so usually in our trivia we have a bonus question that's worth 5 points, and generally, 1 or 2 teams get it. And yesterday, all the teams got the bonus question.
You know what sucked though? That everybody bid the maximum amount too.
Right. But everybody got it right. So then I added a second bonus question, and then 3 teams got that right.
Yeah.
And then I added a third bonus question, and then we got the winner. But yeah, it was good. I was actually thinking about along the lines of, in terms of a bonus question, of like a show with a lot of spin-offs.
Oh, so it would be like All in the Family, Maude,
Like all of the
etc.
right, because all of the family spinned off Maude and
the Jeffersons.
And the Jeffersons. Wait, what spinned off the Jeffersons?
The Jeffersons. Well, wait, actually, hold on. All in the Family spun off Maude, the Jeffersons, technically Archie Bunker's Place.
Yes.
Gloria, because Sally Struthers had a sitcom too for a season.
Okay.
Then off of Maude, we have Good Times.
Good Times, right.
From the Jeffersons, it didn't go into a series, but Florence got a spinoff, a pilot.
Yeah.
And I think that's it.
That's a lot.
That is a lot for one show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That would be a good one. We just gave you all the answers. If you're
Right.
trivia,
So if you're listening, you know
potential bonus question.
Right. But that's what I was thinking. Like, what show
Has the most spin-offs?
Yeah, I guess it's Norman Lear shows.
It has to be.
Because, like,
they're all
Facts of
Norman
Life
Lear.
spun off from
Different Strokes. Yeah, that's right.
What else spun off of Different Strokes?
That's it. It was just Facts of Life.
Right.
That I can recall.
Right. Okay, so we're back to the paella.
We're back at the paella, which again, I don't understand why people feel the need to be there for the paella's like premiere.
I think the thing about the paella is that paella is very dramatic. It's like,
but it's not. It's just a big cazuela.
Okay, in comes the guy with like the 6-foot diameter pan. Right, and then they add about
cook a toddler on
50 pounds of rice, right? And then they add, like I don't know,
pollo,
two buckets of whatever, of shrimp, of meat, and then they start like stirring it and all that. So like it's very dramatic, right? And everybody's like waiting in la paella. Like the paella is part of it's like a bit of a show, right?
But it's the boring show because all they're doing is stirring.
I know, but it like there's a lot of built up in anticipation for it, and then you have it. It's like it's like
it's arroz con pollo.
It needs more. It's not that it's arroz con pollo, but to me, I'm gonna make a very bold statement.
Okay.
Here. So I'm sorry, listeners, whoever gets offended by this.
Direct all inquiries to bitterletmepodcast@gmail.com.
# sorry, not sorry, Demi Lovato. I love her. Love her. They, them. Anyway, my problem with this type of paella, because I like paella when it's made in like a ceramic a pot.
Like right,
like that type of it's not ceramic. I can't think of the right term now because it's really late at night. Anyway, the problem that I have with like that type of paella and like the huge, is the same problem I have with cruise food. That they make such big quantities of it que está desabrido. It needs more salt.
Yeah, that's true.
More pepper, more garlic.
It's not to taste.
It's not.
It's not to taste. Right.
And it's like está desabrido. I'm like, can you please pass the salt? Because I need to like wake this thing up with something. Because
whatever, and then there's the double whammy. No llegues tarde porque va a haber una paella y los mariachi.
Okay, but I like mariachi.
I do not.
What?
I don't like mariachi music. I just don't get. I don't.
What is wrong with you?
I don't. I can appreciate. Okay, here's the thing. I can appreciate the culture of it all, but it's not a thing I
Oh, I love mariachi. Not that, I'm like constantly listening to mariachi music, but Las Mañanitas it does have a special place in my heart. I love it.
I've always said, I'm like, how everybody always like, when you reach a certain age, it's like, ay, lo voy a sorprender con los mariachi. Like, don't do it. Just give me the money.
No. Okay,
give me the money.
Right. Don't do it to me either. I don't want no mariachi
right.
waking me up in the middle of the
night. No, but you know what I mean? Like whenever there's like somebody turns like 75, right? And they have a party and they're like, no llegues tarde porque le vamos a hacer una sorpresa de los mariachi.
So funny because we did that to my aunt and my uncle's wedding shower.
Okay, see?
Anniversary.
Right. And they didn't know, right? Yeah. So it's like, no llegues tarde porque es una sorpresa. And it's like, okay, it's a mariachi. He's like, sure.
But thankfully,
I prefer the mariachis to the paella.
My aunt and uncle's wedding shower, it was like, I don't know, their 40th wedding shower. We had the mariachi.
You keep saying shower. It's anniversary.
Anniversary, sorry. Thankfully, the mariachi saved the night because that was the same night that my cousin had bought like this huge cake from Cake Design, from Etta. Mm-hmm. I said that's so referee, Cake Design. From Cake Design from Etta, that was like very in.
Right. It was the height of popularity, darling.
That's that story where so I had this basset hound that she was adorable.
Princess. Adorable. We've spoken about Princess on the show.
She's a bag of love. And so we had we had this party for them at like in the backyard, at my parents' house. And I go into my parents' house, a little bit away from the party, and I see that the basset hound had this like white gunk all over her.
Like she had rabies all of a sudden.
Yeah, and I'm like, pero qué pasa, princesa? And when I like get down and touch her, I'm like, this is like frosting. Like
where did she get frosting?
Where did she get frosting from?
Was she baking a cake?
So then I follow the
trail.
I followed the trail, and my cousin had hid in my grandmother's room, in the closet, on the floor,
Oh no!
A full sheet, and we now you
Yes,
know how big a full sheet is.
I know how big that is.
A
Yes.
full sheet cake from Cake Design.
Although I guarantee, knowing the prices, my full sheet costs less.
No, that was $200.
Yes, exactly.
And the dog had licked the entire
thing.
cake, which I understood. Actually, no, she licked about maybe a little bit, like 60% of it. It was more than half.
Okay.
Like 60% of it, she had licked it. It was down to the cake.
I mean, I get it. That frosting's delicious. That frosting's really great. Yeah.
Give me a cup and give me a spoon, and I'm done with the.
We're only human. She's only animal.
Right.
Right.
So I'm like, Princess, I'm down with this.
Right.
Like,
share. That's all I ask.
It's funny because then when my cousin found out he was living, and then my aunt was like, "Ay, Rogelito, te robaron la ilusión." I'm like, "Oh, how dramatic!" It's just the cake. But we had the mariachi, so it balanced it out.
That's a phrase that doesn't translate.
What?
They robbed your illusion.
Te robaron la ilusión.
That doesn't translate. Not even with Guns N' Roses.
No. Te robaron. But in Spanish, it's like, "Ay, Rogelita, te robaron la ilusión."
Right.
Like, oh my God, he got her a cake. It's not the end of the world. Like, I helped her. And when that happened, I was like, well, we could eat the rest of the cake.
Yeah, it's like, it's not. Just cut around it.
Wait a minute. We did. Well,
I'm sure you did.
I mean,
you.
Like my parents,
my
brother, they didn't. But
really?
I'm not going to let 40% of that.
But here's the thing: even if 40%, like whatever, you start kind of cutting the edges off, and whatever, it's fine.
Yeah,
I'm not
gonna let 40% of that delicious buttercream cake go to waste.
No, es un desprecio. No,
yeah.
no.
So the point of the story is,
oh, there is one.
Yes, do not get Ishma una paella and a mariachi.
Oh, that's right.
With
Yes,
that
with that said,
I would love to get you a party with a paella, a giant ass paella, and a mariachi. It's back. That's right, everyone. The Youth Fair is back, and 2022 is its 70th anniversary.
Parece mentira. The Youth Fair turned 70 in 2022. Okay, no 70-year-old has ever been this much fun.
That's right. It's got over 120 rides, attractions, and shows. Not to mention our favorite, the food.
Elephant ear, corn on the cob, and some of our newer, soon-to-be favorites like deep fried flan bites and churro s'mores. Anyone?
I can't think past the deep fried flan bites.
I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah. Así que get to the Youth Fair from Thursday, March 17th through Sunday, April 10th to be part of the celebration. And visit fairexpo.com for more info or tickets. Remember, be there, the fair.
At this point, okay, I will say, if you are ever gonna get me mariachis, okay, if you are ever gonna get me mariachis, yeah. I will make one request.
What?
Have it be an all-female mariachi group.
Okay.
For representation purposes, because it's usually all men.
A lot of times the singers are women. La familia Monarriaga.
But like the cake, over 60% of the time, it's men. Okay,
we have
good.
No problem with that.
I want the Beyonce of mariachis.
Maybe they'll dress up as superheroes.
Oh, see, now I'm in.
That'd be kind of cool, right? Like Captain America.
Like all of a sudden, like Wonder Woman, Storm, they all show up and they're like, "Estas son la mañanita."
Hey, weirder things have happened.
This is true. We're living in weird ass times.
Yeah. So, actually, speaking of weird ass times, I wanted to talk a little bit about.
That wasn't weird ass times.
I want to talk a little bit about, obviously, what's going on in Russia and what's going on in Ukraine.
Right.
Because, I mean, we've said it before on the show. I mean, we are a current events podcast, and we do talk about all different types of things. And, we always have like a balance of like how much bad news versus how much good news. And, but there's certain things that you just can't
at least touch upon.
Can't avoid. So, this week, especially, there was a lot of talk on the administration, like the Biden administration, doing a no-fly zone over the Ukraine, and that the administration is being weak, and so forth, and so on and so forth. And I just wanted to touch on that because, and this is not, I mean, I think people that have listened to the show know where I lie politically. Yes. But this is not even an issue of like where you lie politically. This is an issue of accountability and an issue of discretion and perspective, right? And I think a lot of people are saying, like everything on social media, especially just people repost memes and make political.
Yeah, it's what we do now.
And international policy arguments based on reposting of a
meme. The memification.
So I just wanted to take this opportunity to explain really what a no-fly zone is, because I think that there are people who think that a no-fly zone means that Ukraine will tell Russia, hey, don't fly over my zone.
Right. When it really means that Jennifer Lopez will not dance there.
What? Okay.
Because she was a fly girl.
So here I am talking about like the crisis in Ukraine and, you know, international and foreign policy. And, you know, we're talking about Jennifer Lopez.
This is what I'm here for.
Okay. Well,
you're the learn. I'm the laugh.
Okay. And you are the listeners.
Exactly.
So, yeah, a lot of people think that a no-fly zone just means, like, the U.S. and NATO being like, hey, everyone, hey, Russia, guess what? You can't fly over Ukraine.
And they're like, okay.
Let me just explain. A no-fly zone means that the country or the entity imposing a no-fly zone against another entity or another country, in this case would be Russia, would mean that any Russian aircraft that flies over the no-fly zone, which would be the entire country of Ukraine, which I bet you that a lot of people don't even know Ukraine is on a map. People that are taking very strong stances on Ukraine don't even know where Ukraine is on a map and how large it is, because it's a very large country. What it means is that if a no-fly zone is enacted, that means that NATO or the United States is part of NATO, that NATO would shoot down any Russian aircraft over a no-fly zone. The problem with that, ladies and gentlemen, is
this is something that they, again, I forgive my ignorance. You can designate a no-fly zone against a specific country. So in other words, if an aircraft flies over, you basically ask them to identify themselves, and if they do or do not, then you proceed X,
and
Y.
So then what would happen is that
because it's not that like nobody can fly over it.
If a Russian aircraft is in this no-fly zone, then the NATO forces can shoot them down.
Okay, but I guess my question is, how would you know if it's a Russian?
Well, because you asked them to identify them.
Okay, correct. Okay,
right. And remember that all these planes, all these aircraft are registered and they come out on radar, and you could tell like the number of the aircraft and where it's registered to. I mean, there's ways of putting one and two together, right? And identifying that aircraft. But shooting down a plane would be an act of war.
Yeah, that's like an extreme situation.
It is an act of war, which if that is what you decide the route you want to take,
so be it.
So be it.
But you need to know the implication.
Right? So when you hear a lot of people like, because the U.S. government is being weak and they should do, put a no-fly zone. I would put a no-fly zone. Yeah, that's why you're not president, or or commander-in-chief of the military,
or even comptroller.
Right? It's actually a very serious. It's a very serious position to take. So that's why when I see people, of course, online, because online.
Well, again, everybody has a voice.
It's like, do you really know what that means? I mean, if you know what it means and you're for it, even if I don't agree with it, you're basing it at least.
You're informed.
You're informed. But I feel that most people don't really understand what it means, and most importantly, the consequences and ramifications of what it is. And that would be an act of war, and not to sound overly dramatic again.
But that has implications.
And it does have implications, and you can't, quote unquote, say that it's the beginning of World War III. Because whether Russia is doing this whole nuclear song and dance as a threat or not, they do have these weapons.
Right.
And,
and we don't know to what extent they have.
Exactly. So you need to have a lot of patience and a lot of restraint.
Well, this is not a situation that's going to be resolved in 10 days. This is not a...
It's not.
You know what I mean? And that's to your point.
And look, there's different conversations as to the way to end this or de-escalate this. There is a school of thought within a lot of people that are, experts in this and know a lot, not only about Russia and Ukraine and NATO and the US, but just historically,
like war strategists,
and historically, a lot of times when these madmen like Putin start these type of conflicts, they need an off-ramp. right? So you could have a very valid conversation as to what is that off ramp? What does it look like? What are the conditions?
And when you say an off ramp, what do you mean by that?
Well, because for example, there's been a lot of talks with this whole conflict. One of the biggest things that Russia doesn't want is that Ukraine to join NATO.
Well, they don't want anybody to join NATO because they've even been issuing threats against neighboring countries.
Right, but specifically the Ukraine.
Right. But in general,
right.
Yeah, they're already
and
talking
then
like.
I think. I mean, again, we don't really know. We just hear little pieces here and there. Then I think that part of it was also like certain parts of Ukraine to become Russian, right? Certain Russian controlled regions and like different. It was like a slew of different things, allegedly,
right? Because we don't know
that were in talks. So it's giving him an off ramp. Like, okay, we're gonna agree to this. To stop this war and stop the killing, because just today there's reports that the Russians bombed I think it wasn't a hospital. I think it was like a theater that had like a lot of children in it that were being
housed, like sheltered,
sheltered there, and they bombed it. So it's one of these things that it's an opportunity cost. Okay, you're gonna give up something to gain something.
Right.
In this case,
a compromise
is,
for lack of a better
gaining peace, for lack of a better word, in the region. So and historically, again, this is why you have to know history and understand it. And if you don't, kind of take a step back. Historically, a lot of these like madmen and dictators and people that have done this, when they see that things are falling apart, that's when they go like extra mad and they start being even more reckless.
They go scorched earth.
Right, exactly. That's a great way of putting it. And a lot of people say that he's sort of there because he did not anticipate. There's a couple of things that he never anticipated. First of all, he didn't anticipate that Ukrainians were going to fight back the way they have.
Yeah. I don't think anybody did.
He didn't anticipate that Zelensky was going to be the freaking rock star.
He became like the most popular person on earth.
Badass that he is. Yeah. And, he's...
Which, by the way, his series is coming back on Netflix.
Where he's a president.
Basically, that started all of this.
And they should also add Dancing with the Stars.
They should. Bring it all back, Netflix. All of it.
You could see him on TV one moment, talking about war, and on the other moment, you could see him dancing the paso doble.
The man is good at all kinds of fancy footwork.
No, clearly, he is. And anyway...
and what is the other thing that they weren't anticipating? So it's that Zelensky wouldn't become the rock star, that
right.
they wouldn't fight back.
Also, he wasn't expecting I think this is a really big one, the alliance of Europe, not only with the U.S., but different European countries have different interests, right? Germany has very different interests than, let's say, Spain.
Correct.
And Italy, and go on and so forth. And a lot of these countries, a lot of these European countries, actually Germany being one of them, have very close economic ties with Russia. So I think he was probably betting in a certain way that there was going to be some type of division between the European countries.
Right.
As to how to relate to Russia and sanctions.
And he would still have allies.
Right. And he hasn't. Europe is like really like solid in their position. I mean, for God's sake, the Swiss took a position
seriously.
Against Russia. The Swiss.
I also don't think he anticipated all the economic sanctions and implications to the degree that it's happened.
Well, yes and no. Like, he knew he was going to...
To the degree.
But a lot of that, what you're saying in terms of the degree, has to do with what I just said in terms of the unification of Europe. That Europe is like, oh, hell no. Like, we're not going to stand for this. And they've been very resilient in like, no, this is our position on this. We're going to sanction you. We're going to remove all of this. And then obviously the U.S. and other allies. But I think he probably wasn't counting on that. And he also was probably counting on a lot of backup from China. And China,
he asked for some backup from China this week.
Didn't he? And China first said that it was considering it. And China then... I mean, maybe things will change tomorrow.
Right, tomorrow, yeah.
But China then backed off, because then the problem with China was that the same European countries, the U.S. and other huge other economies, were like, wait, China, no, you're not going to do that.
And guess who China relies on a lot of their economy for?
If we start sanctioning you, things are going to get very ugly for you in terms of your economy.
Yeah.
So I think they probably, just from the perspective of economy, were like,
self-preservation.
This is too risky here. So he's sort of on his own at this moment. Maybe something changes in the
with the
next
exception of
days.
Venezuela and Cuba.
Right.
You know,
God, Maduro.
those superpowers.
Well, that little bird that supposedly talks to Maduro and it's Chavez. You know about that, right?
I do know about this.
the little
Yes,
bird
yes. But why don't you tell our listeners in case they don't know?
Nicolás Maduro from Venezuela, being the
El inalfabeto que
actually, I was gonna say being el genio que es.
Oh, okay.
He says that there's a little bird, and you could actually go look this up on YouTube. He has said this like publicly on television, that there's a little bird that has the spirit of Hugo Chavez that talks to him. So, like, I have a lot of questions. I'm like, so when does this bird come to you?
Is this bird immortal?
Does the bird come in your dreams, or does it perch on your window?
Right. Is it a literal bird or like a metaphysical bird?
Right. That was my first question.
Okay, got it.
And then for some reason, I thought about the bird that I pictured is like, that orange juice brand called Bluebird?
Yes.
That's the bird I pictured.
Really?
There's so many birds.
I pictured like una cotorra.
Una cotorra.
Well, because it can speak.
Well, that is true. Well, at least we didn't picture the stork.
Right. A vulture.
A vulture
would probably be more aligned. Yeah.
I pictured the little bluebird orange juice.
Oh, not the little bluebird of happiness.
Talking to you. And I think of it animated too.
Well, it has to be animated.
Right?
Clearly. That's a non-negotiable. It has to be animated.
It's talking to fucking Nicolás.
Well, because how long has Chavez been dead now?
I don't know, like 10 years.
Okay, so this bird has to be animated, because if not, it would be dead by now.
Right. You don't know how long birds last. Oh, yeah. Una cotorra, a macaw can last like 70, 80 years.
It depends on the bird.
Right, but you said it was una cotorra.
That's true. Well, that's true. Okay, I'm thinking like a green cotorra.
Oh, yeah.
Not a macaw.
We are...
This is one of our gold star episodes.
The chemicals, La Química, are like boom, boom, boom on fire. So, anyway, yeah. To finish off the Ukraine subject, if you don't know about international policy and
don't
history and
memify
all
it.
that, it's okay, people, if you don't always have a groundbreaking opinion on everything. It's okay to be a listener many times,
Yeah. Seek out information or ask, or just you don't have to have an opinion about everything.
And doing your research is not going to Facebook group pages.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Social media is not the way to go.
Right. That's like, what I know that I know nothing on? And it's strange because I know about sports.
Okay, aside from comic books.
It's fantasy sports.
Oh, like fantasy football and
fantasy
all that.
Football. Nope.
Right.
Nope. I mean that there's times that I've considered being this was like 10, 12 years ago, that I, with certain friends that I have,
right,
that I'm like, okay, maybe I'll do it. And then I started reading on it. I'm like, this is sort of one of the reasons why I never became a gamer past Nintendo.
Right.
Because if I have to put so much effort into it that I have to read books on it,
it's not worth it.
If I'm going to read a book, that's not what I'm going to read. Right?
Right. Not to be able to play a game.
Right. I'll never forget that's, I think the game that sort of ungamed me was Tomb Raider. Because I remember when I got
and nowadays, eso se queda like Mario Brothers.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when I had the original Sony, I still have the original Sony PlayStation that had Tomb Raider. And Tomb Raider was like this badass game, know.
Lara Croft.
And yeah, because I love the character and all that. And I remember that you had to go to GameStop to buy a companion. Like, it was a thick book.
Like a compendium.
And I'm like, pero para pasar tanto trabajo to play the game, I just want to find the princess in the castle and call it a day.
I want to get to the end. That's it.
I want to kill the dragon and throw it in the lava and, call it a day. And I'm like, this is just too complicated. No, I'll pass.
Never mind.
With that said, I'm really good at Street Fighter. I still am.
Yes, and I told you I will pay for you to be Zangief. I will buy you the costume.
Well, what is the costume? A red Speedo? Like,
okay, but these are things you wouldn't buy yourself.
Right, but we've already determined that right now is not the time to be Zangief.
Oh, yeah. Oh, because he's Russian. Yeah, never mind.
Well, he's Soviet.
I mean, Russian by default.
Right,
yeah.
But that stock, as I said, hasn't risen yet. So
that's true.
Hopefully it won't. But right now is probably not the best time.
Yeah, maybe not.
I mean, From Russia with Love is still one of my favorite Bond movies, but...
Yeah, but right now that's how they address their bombs, so no.
Anyway, what do you have for me?
So I have. It's funny because I was actually listening to a podcast earlier today, and it's an SVU podcast that I listen to.
As one does.
As I do. But this has nothing to do with SVU. They mentioned something called West Elm Caleb. Have you ever heard of this?
I know West Elm, the furniture company.
Okay, well you're halfway there. So apparently
Which I love.
It's this guy named Caleb who works for West Elm. I think he's a designer for West Elm. And at one point on social media, somebody posted something about that they went out with this guy Caleb. He works for West Elm, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And, he like love bombed this love bombing is? I asked because I see the look on your face. That's why I know. Okay, love bombing is essentially when you've only been with somebody for a short amount of time, but in that short amount of time, you start like, I love you, you're my life, you're everything, I can't live without you, like love bombing, right? Like,
yeah, no, I call that something else.
Okay, yeah, like right.
We have that one friend that
like 10 minutes in,
he meets someone, and then 5 minutes later, I'm getting
lifelong
married.
friends.
Yes, I'm getting married. Yeah. You're my best friend.
Yeah. How did I ever live without you?
Right, and you and I just sit back and go,
And we're like, well, let's see how long this one lasts.
Well, this will get interesting really quick.
Well, this person was doing it. Caleb was doing it from a girlfriend perspective. Okay. So he'd meet people on dating apps in New York City, and he would, he'd love bomb them, and then all of a sudden, boom, he would ghost them.
But would he actually go out with them?
He would meet them. You'd go out with him for like, let's say about a month or two or whatever, and then
was Caleb bored?
And he would just ghost you, right? Well, the reason I bring it up is because this has turned into, as with everything nowadays, it's become a social media thing. So that's why he's called West Elm Caleb. Somebody posted about it on one of their TikToks or whatever. Oh, I went out with this guy Caleb, and then he ghosted me, blah, blah, blah. And then somebody responded to her, hey, did he
did the same thing
to me? And so now it's become a thing. And now there's a section of New York TikTok, I guess, or New York social media that wants Caleb's head on a platter. Because Caleb is apparently just not a good dater. But the reason I bring this up is because there's actually even a RollingStone.com article.
Are you serious?
About West Elm Caleb. Okay. And
there's so many news stories.
And there's so many other things to talk about. Although in fairness, this was like from February, January. So before Ukraine, at least.
Okay.
But what I bring it up for is because it's become this thing, and now everybody's like, he's this horrible human being. He's using women. It's become like this fervor. And I just feel like, you know what? The guy sucks. I'm not going to tell you the guy's great. But he ghosted you. Move on. Like, when did we become the society that has decided that every minor infraction done to us has to become a cause for, like, outrage? And I'm going to post about it. Yeah, righteous indignation or whatever. Again, the guy sucks. Like, I mean, whatever. He ghosted you. Fine. Also, you should also be, I would hope, smart enough that if somebody in, like, 2 weeks in is like, oh my God, I love you, I've never lived without you, for you to be the first one to pump the brakes.
I have a lot of questions.
But I just feel like,
do we have a picture of him?
I'm looking through the article right now. Like. I don't think we have a picture of him.
Debe ser tremendo macho if he's,
I know, right? Tremendo papi chulo. Like, serious shit. He must be like the bee's knees.
Yeah.
There's no picture of him.
When you told me
he's completely left social media.
I think that it was going that.
You didn't think it was going to
No.
What did you think it was going to be?
I don't know why West Elm Caleb was going to end up in a bad Grinder story that you were going to tell me. Like, I don't...
Well, it was close. It wasn't Grinder, but it was Tinder.
Okay, there we go. I don't know why that's what I thought, but, but here we are. Yeah, I mean...
Like, I'm just... My whole thing with reading this is...
Here's my whole thing.
I mean, it became a Rolling Stone article.
But here's my whole thing. If there are all these people going out, and again, I agree with you that this guy is tremendo hijo de la gran...
Right.
Tremendo HP.
Son of a grand bitch.
He's right. He's no hero. He's crappy.
He's 25 years old.
Right.
By the way,
we don't like West Elm Caleb.
Not a fan.
Instead, go out with Pottery Barn Connor. Listen, I love Pottery Barn. I mean, who doesn't? With that said, I don't buy exclusively from Pottery Barn because then your house looks like a catalog.
Right, but we're all holding out for Restoration Hardware Jake.
Well, just Restoration Hardware Jake is a stud because
I mean,
I love me some Restoration Hardware.
It's up there.
That's when I go in and I'm like, okay, I love everything here.
I can't afford nothing.
10 times more expensive than it should be. So we're gonna go to a Pottery Barn, and get a similar look.
Exactly.
And then if you're really, really on a budget, you go to IKEA.
Well, listen, don't discredit IKEA Stanley.
IKEA Stan. No, IKEA's not Stanley.
IKEA Sven?
Yes.
Okay, IKEA Sven. Okay. All right.
Mira, and if you're in Miami, you go to Juanito en El Dorado.
That's true. El Dorado Juan has got you hooked up, my friend. Go for it.
Oh yeah, what happened to Room to Go Robbie? Rooms to Go Robbie.
The problem with Rooms to Go Robbie is he's got a bit of a big head now since Cindy Crawford and Sophie have got to have collections there.
Right. And then we have Sophia City Furniture Carol.
City Furniture Carol, though, is on her third marriage. So,
she just wants to sell you a love seat.
She does, because she had a bad time. She's still trying to get rid of waterbeds.
Wow. What did we eat before? What was I saying? Okay, back to, what was it? Casebook Caleb? No.
West Elm Caleb.
West Elm Caleb. Look, he's a douche. We know this, obviously. But I think that a lot of times people just want to go on TikTok or Instagram or whatever to like make themselves be the victim. And
right.
Woe is me, poor is me. And then, when you get like victim fans, because, look, there's a time and a place to be a victim, and there's a lot of issues.
There's real reasons to be a victim.
Real reasons to be a real victim. Right. But if you're going on social media to just make this whole
complain about a bad relationship,
about somebody that you've known for
a month or two,
right. It's because you want certain
attention.
Because you know what? When you go through like a real separation
or a real
divorce,
abusive situation,
right. But even not abusive, because has he been physically abusive?
No. He's just been an asshole.
He's just been an asshole, right? When you go through a breakup, a divorce, a separation, like of a real substantial relationship, you generally don't go out onto the world and to social media and spill your beans to everyone.
Right. Here's why I was wrong.
Right. Although I know people that have personally.
Yeah.
But with that said, you generally don't do that. So I think here with West Elm Caleb, it probably started with someone who probably
was just bitching
a little bit, right? Bitching, woe is me, and then it caught on and snowballed. Right. And here we are talking about Rooms to Go Robbie. Wearing his blue polo shirt with khakis. But
I just found it again, like I heard about it, and it was mentioned on this podcast as almost like a throwaway thing, like maybe 3 lines. But I was like, wait, what's West Elm Caleb? And the fact that I Googled it, and the first thing that came up was a rollingstone.com article. It was like, wait a minute. Hasta aquí es donde hemos llegado.
Right. Rooms to Go reminds me of you.
Why?
Because
that's where I got all my apartment furniture.
I think started in South Florida in like the mid 90s.
Okay.
And I remember you were the first person I knew that whose parents bought furniture at Rooms to Go.
They did. It was all Southwestern.
Yes.
Yes.
Your house had a very Southwestern
theme, yeah.
They don't have it anymore, right?
Oh, hace rato.
Yeah. And I remember you being like, this is our Rooms to Go furniture. I'd be like, really? Like, wow. Like Rooms to Go. Do you remember their theme song? It's about value, it's about time.
It's about rooms to go.
No, rooms to go. Nothing has a theme song anymore.
No. They should have Julianne Hough dance to that now.
Not even Stanley Steamer uses their old theme song.
Tough on dirt, gentle on carpet.
Stanley Steamer.
We're tough on dirt, gentle on carpet.
Yeah. But which is one of my favorite, right?
¿Cuál?
You feel like you bought from the factory.
Aww. Headquarter Toyota. That one's still around.
Yeah.
That's a classic.
So Casebook Caleb.
West Elm Caleb.
What
is Casebook? What the hell is Casebook? Is that like a container store? Like what?
No, that's Container Store is Container Store Kathy.
Oh, you know what? That's so true. I could see her just being like, no, you're going to
Have you ever been to the Container Store?
I have.
The
It's a little overwhelming.
Store is sort of the Restoration Hardware of containers.
Of storage.
There's so much storage. They're very smart storage.
It's great.
And then it's like, no, but I'm not paying, $50 for a plastic bin where I could get that at Walmart or
Walmart. I get a Dollar Tree.
At the Dollar Tree, right? Well, for $1.25.
I said Dollar Tree. I didn't say how much it was.
Right, for $1.25. This week I went and I bought 30 bags of candy for something of Tristan's birthday. I was at Tristan's birthday. Tristan's school for career day at Tristan's school. And I felt the 25 cents extra.
Because it adds up when it's per item.
Yes, when you have a lot of when you buy one or two things, it's not a big deal.
Right.
But when you buy 30 things, it's like, subió.
Yeah.
That's a 25% increase.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
That's like an HOA in hammocks.
No, mijito, that would be a 250
increase.
So we talked about Casebook Caleb. Here we go again. No, that's it. Se llama Casebook Caleb.
That's it. Lo bautizaste.
Casebook
Caleb.
Is that
what are you thinking? Law? Like what's happening?
Actually, that is what I just was thinking.
What case are you thinking?
No, Casebook is like a law,
like precedent.
No, like a manuals. It's like a law, like a Cliff Notes.
Oh, okay.
Like a law study guide that they have for like different subjects and and stuff like that. I mean, it was law school.
But why did you revert there?
Because at this point in time, it's in my DNA. It's like it's hard to get it out. I can't quit you. Like I could join the circus. The law will always be in my blood, for better or worse.
I'm picturing you just being shot out of a cannon, being like torts.
You have anything else for me?
I don't really.
Other than Casebook Caleb,
I don't really have anything else.
I have a funny little.
Oh wait, yeah, you sent me you sent me a voicemail of like, don't let me forget this. So
what has happened, listeners, is that so many times, in preparation for the show, or we've told you guys, I always write certain topics that I want to come up with, and so does he. But then there's other
just stuff that comes up,
just that happens in our day that sometimes I'm like, shit, this would be a good topic, and then we forget, right? This is what singers happen to them, right? When they think of a melody,
that's true,
and then they're like, I lost the melody, right?
That's true.
We don't want to lose a melody.
We never want to lose.
We don't want to lose any melodies or melodies.
Oh no, I don't want to lose melodies.
No,
we
don't want to lose melodies.
I only have two, and I like them both.
Yeah, we have B and C, and we like them both.
It's true.
Anyway, so earlier this week, I was at a 7-Eleven, and the 7-Eleven here by my house, and many times before I go to work, I stop, I get some Icelandic spring water or Evian
water,
right? Which they have both. But sometimes the problem
Evian contact us for sponsorship.
But sometimes the problem with Evian is like this bottle that you see here.
It's a little expensive,
right? No. It's not that it's expensive. Sometimes they don't have like the regular like personal bottle. They have the one that's like a quart.
Oh,
so it's like, okay, I don't need that much Evian right now. I just want
hydrate. Damn it, hydrate.
Yeah. So anyway, so I was there, and that 7-Eleven, there's always a line, always, because like La Cajera start talking to the people because everybody's like a regular in the morning, right?
Yeah, they all go for their coffee, their donuts, right?
And I guess I'm a regular now too.
You are, clearly.
Yeah, because yesterday the lady hooked me up with 2 croquetas.
Hello.
With 2 croquetas. And mind you...
So you went to 7-Eleven to get 2 croquetas?
Actually...
As opposed to going to 2 croquetas for 2 croquetas?
No, I didn't go get 2 croquetas.
No. But I'm saying, you were at 7-Eleven and you got 2 croquetas, but not 2 croquetas.
Right. No, you know what happened? I actually went... So in the morning, I usually have water, a Red Bull, and a pan de bono.
That is a square meal,
I have French water, a Red Bull, and a pan de bono. Listen, I've told you.
That's a very international meal you have there, by the way.
Pan de bono is God's gift.
It really is.
It's Colombia and God's gift to humanity. Because when you have a nice warm pan de bono, it makes you believe in like God. It's like
it is a gift from the God.
It's like this is more than this is more than like just human creation. This is divine. How they got a perfectly balanced piece of bread that is completely like the cheese is completely melted into the dough. Like that is that is the work of the divine, my friend.
That is the divine hand at work, yes.
So anyway, so I was there yesterday, which isn't even the story that I want to tell you. And the lady tells me, which now she sees me every day. She's like, ay, mijito, tú quieres las dos croquetas que quedan porque están ahí sola y me da lástima con ella. And I'm like, well, okay. I'm sorry that the croquetas' feelings are hurt. Pass it along. And she didn't charge me for them. So who's going to not get a free croqueta?
No one.
I mean, really?
No one. Even a vegan would have taken it.
Oh, of course. You give it to a coworker.
Yeah, exactly. Or a homeless person. Whatever.
Yeah. No. I was going to say no to the croqueta. But anyway, that's not even the story. Wow. We're talking about
We are in rare form today.
Right. So what I was trying to say was that, so I go there the other day, and this old guy is like kind of not arguing, but he's kind of telling el cajero, no, because apparently he had bought something and he returned it.
Okay.
Or they were doing a credit back to his debit card. And he's like, no, porque siempre es lo mismo. Me devuelven el dinero y demora como una semana para que me pongan el dinero en la tarjeta. And the guy was like, no, señor, el dinero va a estar instantáneo ahí. And he goes, no, chico, eso no es verdad. Si esto yo me he pasado antes y demora 2 o 3 días, ¿por qué tú me estás mintiendo? And he's like, pero señor, yo soy el gerente, soy el manager. Le estoy diciendo que es instantánea su tarjeta. Right. And he's like, pero no es así. And he's like, pero señor, es la póliza de nosotros. Right. And he goes, bueno, pero así no es como lo hacen la Chevron. And the manager was like, señor, usted está hablando de la Chevron. Oh, yeah. And he's like, sí. And he's like, señor, esto es 7-Eleven. And he's like, esto no es la Chevron.
But how do you not know?
And he goes, the manager was like, no, señor, esto es 7-Eleven. He's like, pero espérate. Esta no es la 40 y la 112. And he goes, no, señor, esto es Sunset y la 90 y pico.
Coño.
And I was like, wow.
How drunk was this man at 10 in the morning?
You know what I immediately thought of? This is where my mind went to. I'm like, 7-Eleven is all about branding and everything is orange and green.
Yeah, you can't get away from it.
Right? And big Slurpees.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas Chevron is blue and red.
Also, geographically, you're not where you said you were.
I didn't even go to geographically. I was thinking about branding, right? I'm like, pero did you not notice that
7-Eleven's all green and orange, yeah.
And 7-Eleven is like an actual store where,
Chevron is, depending on the gas station,
right.
It's...
And I'm like, wow. So then...
then there.
Right. So that issue, the next guy up was like, sí, tienen taco. And the lady was like, no, señor, tenemos taquitos. Right? Because I think that...
Also, what time was this again?
This was like at
10:30
in the morning.
Okay.
Right?
So I thought. Okay.
Because I know what happened here. Outside, they have a sign that says taquitos 2 for $1.99 or something like that. And I'm almost sure that he saw the word taquitos and read tacos.
He just, right.
So he's like, ¿ustedes tienen tacos? She goes, no, señor, tenemos taquito. Sí, pero eso no es un taco. And she's like, no es un taquito. And he's like, sí, pero yo quiero un taco. And she's like, no, pero no tenemos taco. And then he's like, pero aquí dice que tienen taco. And then the lady's like, mira, señor, si usted quiere taco, ahí hay un Taco Bell. Aquí no hay taco a esta hora. So wait. So that
debacle
then. So now we had Chevron.
Then tacos.
The tacos. Then un viejo con los billetes de la lotería. And I'm like,
what kind of convenience store of the damned were you at?
Like, at this point in time, it was so ridiculous.
You're like, what next?
I wasn't angry.
You're like, what next? What next?
I was
Bring it on.
Quinceañera gonna walk in through the front door. So then el viejo de la lotería wanted a scratch off that they didn't sell. Right?
And you can see these because the scratch offs are always right.
And he's like, no tienen el no sé qué de Monopolio. And
they love the Monopoly one.
Right. Yeah. And she's like, no, nosotros no tenemos eso. And I could tell that the cash register, the lady behind the register, she knew what he was talking about, right? But she was like, no, we don't have that here. And he's like, no, pero si eso lo tienen en tal lugar. And shit, I'm like, what, do they have it at Chevron? And she's like, no, señor. No, señor. Chevron. So then the person in front of me.
How many people were in front of you?
There was 4.
Jiminy Christmas.
So then the person in front of me when he gets there, he just ordered a hot dog, and I'm like, thank God. He just like ordered a hot dog, and I think he already had his drink.
Okay, so he was halfway there.
So I was like, wow, like I have to talk about this on the show. Like it turned into like a 15-minute ordeal. There I was holding.
This is like a sketch.
There I was holding, my Evian.
This is
and my Red Bull. And
SNL
then
sketch.
do you know what happened? What I did when I finally got up to the register, I was like, "Excuse me." I went and I got another Red Bull because I like my Red Bull to be like freezing cold, right? Because I'm like, no, it's been in my hand for like 15 minutes, so it's probably gone down several degrees, and I like my Red Bull, chilled.
Right.
So I had to go get another Red Bull.
That is insane.
I wasn't mad. Like I still.
Well, no, it's fodder for the show.
That's the type of shit that doesn't get me mad because it's so ridiculous.
It's entertaining.
And just so petty and hilarious at the same time that I'm just there like, I don't know, maybe if I was like really in a hurry where I was like, shit, I have to be at work in a meeting.
Well, you would have left everything there and gone,
But yeah, I was like, okay, first the guy who thinks he's at Chevron, but he's not. Then
not just at Chevron. In a completely different street.
Yes.
Because it's one thing to think you're in a place because you had a brain fart. Yeah. No, but you drove somewhere completely different.
Yes.
All right. So do you want to go first or do you want me to
go first?
All right. So I'm going to I actually had two candidates for the last soda, but I'm going to go with the more positive. Actually, they're both pretty positive, but I'm going to go with the happier one per se. So my last soda is going to a group of California elementary school students.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
And the reason it's going to them is because last month, this group of elementary school students in California launched a free hotline service featuring on-demand inspiration and advice. If you dial, and I dialed it so I can speak to this. If you dial 707-998-8410, and we're going to post this on our Instagram, you're going to hear all these little kindergartners giving you like all these words of inspiration and like pep talks. And it's just so cute. I listened to it at like 9 a.m, the first thing this morning. And I was like, you know what? My day is set. I'm happy. And they're saying things like, if you're nervous, go get your wallet and spend it on ice cream and shoes. Or if you're mad or frustrated, you can do what you want to do best, or you can go do flips on the trampoline.
Ice cream and shoes, I like that one.
If you're frustrated, you can always go to your bedroom, punch a pillow, or cry on it, and just go scream outside. Or my personal favorite, if you're feeling up high and unbalanced, think of groundhogs. And the fact that this phone number exists, like I literally saved it to my contact list because I feel like, you know what?
Better than 976 Duck.
100%, and you don't got to pay for it. But nowadays there's so much going on, and we all get so like anxious and nervous and scared and frustrated. You know what? Sometimes it's just nice to hear the eternal optimism of children, before the world has broken us down. Saying just sweet little things like this. And I have to go back and dial it again because they have it in English and Spanish. And I have not heard the Spanish version yet. Okay. So I want to go back and hear the Spanish one. But so that's my last soda goes to that group of elementary school students in California.
Yeah. That's nice. I have to call. I saw when everybody was like in our group chat was talking about that today. So I have to call. That's nice. I believe that children are the future.
Yes, Whitney.
Yeah. Anyway, my last soda goes to, I believe she has gotten a last soda before from us. Mm-hmm. Definitely from one of us. Goes to Dolly Parton.
Oh, she was one of my candidates.
Yeah. So Dolly Parton has yet again shown that she is just a class act.
She's an earthbound angel, kids.
And just the grace that she has. So she was nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year. And she was nominated against a bunch of very iconic people, like including Dionne Warwick and a bunch of very, very distinguished names.
Eminem.
And she removed herself from the nomination, from being a candidate for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, because she says that she's a country artist and she really doesn't feel she's contributed enough to the genre of rock and roll to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, the argument that I would make about that is, have you been to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
I have not, no.
Okay, I've been a couple of times. And the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame should not be called the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because it's
music.
It's all music. I mean, I'll never forget that the first time I went there was probably in like 2005. They had like a teen pop
like a teen idol.
They had Britney Spears schoolgirl outfit.
Okay.
And they had like stuff on Jessica Simpson and many more and Christina Aguilera and all that. It was like the teen pop of the 90s. And so they have all types of music there. But so I would make that argument that of course she should be in there.
If anyone,
it should be in here. But she obviously takes it very literal.
Yeah.
And the fact that she is just so humble that she's like, no, I'm going to respectfully bow out, let my votes go to other people that, maybe they feel they're more deserving. That she's also, I don't want to say refused, but she's also declined the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Does she have the Kennedy Center honor?
I think she does. Okay. Because I'm seeing her with the rainbow thing around her neck. But it's like, wow, what a class act. Yeah. I mean, Dolly Parton, and I'm not a big country music person, but a few years back, like, she was on tour, and I told her, we should go see her. Because she's one of these people that, like, I only know a handful of songs of hers. I'm not going to pretend to
probably know more than you
Dolly
think.
Dolly Parton's, catalog. But I feel that she's such an icon that it's like, going to see her live, you're going to go see an icon. If you don't know all the songs, so what?
And she's also one of these people who just does a lot of batter.
She does. And she is such, again, and you actually said this a couple of episodes, that everybody uses the word icon nowadays, and whatever. But she really is an icon. She really is a legend, and she is a national treasure. Like, she really is.
She's a global treasure.
Yeah. No, she is, but
galactic treasure.
But she's one of the few people
everybody can agree on
that everybody loves her.
Yeah,
no matter who you are, you love Dolly Parton, and she's done such a great job of staying above the fray and not falling for anything and anyone, or even things that maybe were right. She's done it very well. She knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
And, I can't give her enough sodas.
I know. Especially because she gives free water at Dollywood.
Right. Only because we went on the hottest day in the world.
Okay, but go on the hottest day at other theme parks.
Well, no, Disney will charge you 20 bottles of dollars for Dasani, not even Avion.
They'll wait till you drop dead, and then they'll charge you for picking you up.
Right. Whereas there, she was giving water, but it was also,
But it's Dolly.
Yeah.
It's Dolly. We'd expect nothing
I went
less.
to Dollywood and I almost fainted, people.
Yeah, that's a story for another day.
Yeah, and me falling would
required all of us to pick him up.
Yeah. So anyway, this was a very interesting episode.
This was an interesting episode.
This was a very interesting episode, I must say. So, well, we hope everybody listened, laughed, and learned. I don't know how much learning there was in this one, but
they learned about us.
Yeah. We hope you listened, laughed, and learned. Remember to grab your croqueta, your pastelito, and your cafecito. And please join us next week. Thank you so much for joining us this week. That was episode 195. Everybody have a great weekend. Thank you so much.
All right, cuídense, mi gente. Bye. Pero Let Me Tell You is co-hosted by Darian Borges and Ismaeliano, produced by Ismaeliano, and our theme, Pero Let Me Tell You Freestyle, is composed by Michael Angelo Lomlaplex, the official gay guy. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes.